Okay, so I hope that everybody is fine with it. Now it's 9 a.m. and 2 minutes in Riga, where I am now, and 8 a.m. in Paris. So let's start our short, I don't know how to call it, either webinar or maybe it's a business breakfast. But the main idea is to discuss the opportunities of development of the domain of senior care in Baltic states. So we're talking about Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. And mainly we will discuss our experience of senior group. We are in this region since 2011. And now let's come for our main presentation, as we call it. Okay, so today we'll touch 6 main items. So first of all, we'll talk about Baltic countries in general. We'll talk about general data, population, history. We'll discuss the age pyramid. Then we'll present the first results of our research. So it's one of the most important reasons why we do it today, because we are in middle of performing the research about the institutional care in Baltic states. So the first results are quite contradictory, and I really want to have a sort of feedback from professionals of area, maybe to correct our methods, or not methods for sure, but at least the really demanded outcomes. So what we are most interested in. We have 2 months in front of us of detailed interviewing of all the residences. There are 441 residences identified up to now. And I want to share the first results, and maybe we'll understand how we can correct it, just to make this research more useful for all the professionals. Then we'll put some attention to Riga as the biggest city of region, and because we are mainly in Riga now, we have quite good access for statistics, and I will share with you some figures, some data, just to present you quite typical, but also I think the most advanced city. Okay, we can compare it to Tallinn also, but we'll see. Then we'll discuss our own experience. So what do we do now, our model. We'll watch, definitely we'll skip a short video about our habitat inclusive model, so about our senior care facilities, and maybe we'll share a couple of figures, but even that today the representative of all the financial model is not in the scope of our meeting. Then we'll talk about our plans in general, what we are going to do, our big hairy objectives, and at the end we just discuss maybe their strategical positioning of Baltic states, so what we think should be done. Okay, so I hope that everybody hears me quite well, because otherwise I suppose that somebody would already indicate the problems with audio. If not, let's move. So first of all, let's talk about if somebody wants to say something, if somebody wants to put any question, I propose that just leave a note in chat. So here, everybody, where I started with morning, everybody, then Ines has replied morning, and Rima also told good morning. So I actually ask you just to leave a couple of words in this chat, and in this case, it would be more interactive and it would be nice. Yeah, thank you, Alex. I don't ask you to switch on your video. It's not essential, because I hope that everybody is on the beach and everybody is somewhere on vacation. But okay, thank you, Vlad, also. So let's talk about Baltic countries. I would say that Baltic countries, as you know, there are 3 countries of the 10, as we call it, countries of New Europe. So Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. Then we count traditionally Poland, Czech Republic, Hungary, Slovenia, Romania, Bulgaria. So approximately 10 countries that are the most developed countries of Eastern Europe, and 3 Baltic states, if we put away Poland, they're the most integrated to old Europe, 3 new economies that now are not in very good shape, but in the beginning in 2000s, they were even called like Baltic tigers. The next several charts I've simply taken from our research that was published in the post that concerned this webinar. Everybody can download it. It was specialized research that SAFE Consortium, where Senior Group is one of the founders, has performed approximately already half a year ago. It was the researcher that touched the problem of COVID contamination of nursing homes and of any long-term care facilities. And definitely we've taken several general figures and included there. So first of all, these three countries, we're talking about Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. About GDP per capita, they're quite average. I would say that not the worst and not the best in Europe. Then, just to show how we divide Europe for our internal purposes, and because it will definitely facilitate the understanding of all the charts that we see now. So these three Baltic countries, we consider them like members of group, as we call it, small stars. So small stars, that's the group of European countries that, according to results of the first and the second wave, we still don't know the result of the third wave of COVID, their fight against COVID was the most successful. And actually the main result of our research was that it has several reasons. The first and the most important, that's density of population, and then some traditions of absence of nihilism. So in this part of the world, people usually follow very smart orders of government, and unfortunately it's not about vaccination, but about all the barriers. That was exactly the case. But just let's see that the density of population in Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, you see here, is extremely low. So it's 4 times lower than in France, for instance, and it's really low than in other countries. It's quite aged. So if we count the percent of population over 80 years, in Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, that's quite high. And it's not only because of the fact that the longevity, the life is quite long, not because a lot of young Lithuanians, Latvians, and Estonians already 15, 20 years ago have moved to the other European countries. And so unfortunately, that's the reason why the percent of population over 80 years is quite high in these countries. So if we talk about the spending of GDP for long-term care in these countries, we see that it belongs to a group where this spending is not so low like in the group of quite poor countries, but it's on the level of 0.67%. That is twice lower, for instance, than in Finland, than in Belgium. So, and it's not, unfortunately, because of quite well development of private sector. We'll see it slightly later. It's because simply traditionally, unfortunately, social care is not yet so well developed in Baltic countries like in other parts of the world. If we are talking about pension, there is a small mistake. Nobody knows how to calculate pension, and if you go to World Trade Organization, you will see that mainly it's calculated through replacement coefficient. So you know the average wage, then you know what the percentage of average wage is substituted by pension, and it gives you opportunity to measure the average income of aged person. And you know that there are a lot of different types of pension, but so you will see that currently in Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, the average pension is approximately on the level 300-400 euros. If we talk about size of long-term care institutions, that's quite contradictory data, and we'll see many times, not only today, that currently, as I told you, we perform our own research, and we do it quite seriously. So we have huge Excel table with 450 lines and that are dedicated for institutions, and with 300 lines that are dedicated for territorial units, and we are trying to calculate the real size of institution based on it. But official figures that you can get, for instance, from OECD or from World Bank, they are quite contradictory. So these data are put for this chart. So officially, you see that average size of institutions in Latvia and Lithuania is slightly above 50 beds per institution, and Estonia slightly lower. Maybe because the private market in Estonia is far in front of Latvia and Lithuania, but we'll see it also later. So here is the size of LTC institutions. Also about the quantity of LTC beds, we will see it later that it's not very well developed yet. That is strange. And now let's see the general statistics. So if you go to OECD.org, in the latest statistics in 2014, we will see that these three countries, they encountered together in 2014 approximately 40,000 long-term care beds. I would say right now that up to now under consideration there are approximately 25,000 beds, so almost 1/3 or even half of these beds, and that's because we are not able simply to identify other beds that are officially registered. So maybe this data was calculated by I don't know by what means. I even visited last summer the headquarters of OECD in 16th arrondissement of Paris, and actually I found finally the guy who brought this figure, and it was quite funny because I've asked him where he has taken this figure. I knew that time quite well already Latvian market. He claimed that there are 10,000 beds in Latvia, and he has shown me the reply of official bodies, so not statistical, but a social care ministry. And I know very well that this data does not correspond to reality, but that's how we see currently that OECD uses data that I personally cannot confirm. And unfortunately, the minister who has signed it has been resigned already twice. So we're not able to identify the roots of this figure. But anyway, the mistake is not more than twice. So I would say that the real number of quantity of beds is approximately somewhere from 25 to 40 beds. Anyway, we can base our calculations on these figures. So if also we compare to pension, just to understand usually that price, for instance, of retirement facility in Paris, if we put away the dependency, if we put away medicine, healthcare, it's approximately 3,000, and pension in France is 1,376, and pensions in Estonia, they are 3 times lower, and average price of private institution is also approximately 3 times lower than in France. So the ratio is the same. 1/3 of price of cost of retirement institution is covered in all 3 countries by pension. So this ratio is quite stable, at least for these 2 groups of countries. Now let's see why the last several years the waiting list in Baltics has started to avalanche. So this process of increase of quantity of people in waiting list actually has been started not already 20 years ago, but only last year. So here is their age pyramid of Latvia. I would say that all the 3 countries from demographic point of view, they quite resemble. And we will count the quantity of people who are all 81. So according to our experience, the average age of moving into residence, never mind what residence, because there are no any traditional senior apartments yet in Baltic states, so mainly all the residences can be considered like long-term care institutions, is 81 years. So these 81 years, this is target group. We made a short animation. Let's see. So I will just explain. So what does it mean, this animation? So this is an age of person. On the right side is usually there women, on the left side they are men. And here is the age pyramid of 1972. So that's official data from statistics of Republic of Latvia. In 1972, there were not statistics for Latvians that were older than 74. So let's see what happens with this age 3. So you see that definitely Latvians, or as all the Europeans, they were aging. In 1980, we got the full statistics. But what's important, let's see. So here is the data, that's 10,000. And you see that, for instance, in 1985, the most aged those Latvians, those Latvian women who were older than 81, they were approximately 8,000. And we see that there are gaps. The gaps that happen here is, for instance, the gap of natality that was caused by war. Here is the second gap that is consequence of that gap. You know that all the gaps, they are divided by generations. And actually, I will show it later, but now we work with Latvians that were born in 1937, 1941 year of birth. So a sort of baby boomers, like in the States, but pre-baby boomers. And you see that because of these gaps, let's see the development of this pyramid. So it was done by myself, simply by print screens of a lot of different charts. We will see that you see that scale has been changed, that in spite of aging of all the population, the quantity of possible clients of nursing homes till 2016 has never crossed these 10,000. You see that, okay, in 2015 almost crossed, and the first time in 2017. So in 2017, actually, this age pyramid in the part that is older than 81 has finally crossed these 10,000. And we will see that the next several 5-6 years, the quantity of Latvians that are older than 81 will be increasing. And it's the first time since, as you've seen, 1971, in spite of the fact that the total population of Latvia has been squeezed, diminished almost 30% after end of occupation of by Soviet Union. So the first time since 2016, the quantity of possible residents of nursing home has started to be increased. So that's the main answer for the question why all the projects of development of nursing homes and of other social care, senior care institutions that have been started in 2000, in 2010 were not so successful. And the real boom of aged care in Baltic states, and I would say that maybe all the Eastern Europe, but we analyzed up to now, we've analyzed only Baltic states, has been started in 2016. That's simple demography. I mean, definitely there are the crash of traditional family models, everything like this, but not only. Simple need has been also increased only since 2016. Okay. So now we will talk about our research. So all the data that I've presented up to now were official data that were taken either from statistical bodies of these three countries, or from OECD, or from World Bank. And now we will see that what we are doing now, we want to, this our internal research, because we're in process of establishing the new approximately 100 institutions for the next 6 years in Baltic states. And we definitely want to understand where to start the construction and what type of facility should be constructed. So we want to receive, as a result, the list of places optimal for implementation of senior group residences and optimal types of residences to be erected. Either it's, I will explain what does it mean, urban residence, or winter garden, as we call it, or big family house, or Alzheimer residence. So to get this information, we analyze the current and planned demand, and we analyze the current and planned supply and influence of state. So as I told, we analyze municipality by municipality, and I may be even able to show it. So it looks like this, and I will be happy to share when we're ready. So, for instance, all the municipalities of 3 Baltic countries is analyzed according to a long table. So the quantity of people, the average pension, quantity of aged persons over 80, quantity of beds, quantity of institutions, and then all the residences. And as I told, we were able to identify now approximately 441. They are put into table, and they also analyzed from the point of view how many beds, what's the waiting list, how it's financed, the prices. So it would require serious research, and the first research on this level performed in Baltic states. We hope to finish it till 1st of November, and I hope that I will be able to share it with all the participants of this event. Up to now, I will just share a couple of results. So as I told you, we analyzed, first of all, this possible and current and planned demand. So we analyze how many people over 80 there are now in every municipality, how many will be in 10 years, what's the pension structure, what's the structure of income of families, because everybody knows that, and I will show it also later, that pension does not cover a lot, and there are three sources of payment in Baltic states for staying in institutions. So it's pension, it's family payment, and it's a sort of co-financing either by municipality or by state. And we analyze also co-financing by municipality, and we create power map. We analyze residences, as we call it, AXAF. I don't remember what does mean AXAF. Is open to support your activities if not plan to attract them. Okay, Olga, I will reply it later. Thank you for question. Here, our current data set of research. So in our loan table, we have currently 434 institutions. And as I see that according to this, they counted only 23,000 beds. So that's strange because it's almost half of all the official statistics. I can, but for instance, for Estonia, the figure is exact. So 153 in official statistics and 153 in statistics that we got by analyzing municipality by municipality. Estonia has the best statistics. In Latvia and Lithuania, the problem is that, first of all, traditionally from times of Soviet Union, all the different types of aged care institutions, they were managed by two areas, I would say. So by healthcare ministry and by social care ministry. By healthcare ministry, they were managed all the specialized facilities like Alzheimer care or maybe for blind persons, and not only, also all the nursing care were certified by healthcare. And the second, that there are still in Lithuania and in Latvia several non-official residences. So that's quite strange for me because, for instance, they are not able to satisfy even these low requirements like 6 square meters per one person. And we knew about them mainly only after the first wave of COVID, that, for instance, in Palanga, there was quite serious case where the first institution were not able to assure the good level of protection, and there were quite high level of mortality, and afterwards it was figured out that it was completely out of radars. So we'll definitely continue to work. Up to now, we consider that all the ratios that we get up to now based on this first data set can be applied in terms of some data for all the ensemble of institutions in the Baltics. But anyway, we hope to understand later the reason of this difference, at least about population, that's fine. About population over 65 years, it's also fine. So mainly we're addressing 400,000 Baltic citizens over 80 years, and with average pension up to now. And once more, this pension payment is received by analyzing of the pension that is paid in every municipality. So these data should be much more precise compared to statistics of OECD, for instance. And that's very important for us and for you also. So that spread, that's allocation of the residences along the types of property. So we see that in Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, we allocate every residence among municipal, non-for-profit, private, religious. Okay, religious, it's also non-for-profit, but you see that for Lithuania, that is quite Catholic country, is important to put religious non-for-profit apart, and state-owned. What we can see that in Estonia, the quantity of private institutions is much higher than, for instance, in Latvia, in common size or simply even in quantity. But if we see totally that, we see that up to now, in all the Baltic states, about 1/3 of all the institutions, they are private. It's this data up to now is received simply by dividing of quantity of aged care institution by the total quantity of aged care institutions, not about beds. We will get it later from beds calculation. And but what we can already conclude, if we put everything, so as I told you, that 29% is private, 42% is municipal, and mainly it's because of Latvia, where the huge majority, vast majority are municipal. Very small, they are state-owned, non-for-profit 22%. So this camembert would be analyzed, but I don't think that it would be changed dramatically. But if we see the same institutions put on the map of Baltics, we'll see, for instance, that private residences, they're not everywhere. You will see that private residences, first of all, they are either around capitals. So here is Kaunas and Vilnius, here is Riga, and here is Tallinn. And there are several regions, like, for instance, Latgalia, a quite poor region of Latvia, where there are no, or at least no identified by us, so they exist, and they are not officially registered private institutions. That's either can be considered like opportunity, or maybe residents are not ready yet for this opportunity. But okay, we will see. Right now, that's already impressive to see that whole region is not covered at all by development of private institutions. Okay, so mainly the problem is that not enough modern facilities to take care of seniors of Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. And how usually do look like the existing facilities. So mainly they are big, they are Soviet style, and in our research we divide all, we allocate all residences to different segments, like Soviet style, and I would say that 10% of all the facilities, they were constructed even before the first independence. So it's quite funny that it were placed in reconstructed, I don't know, baths or casernes, military buildings that were constructed in 19th century, for instance. Okay, so elements of the problem: low waiting list, existing residences are old, and aged persons does not like big hospital style facilities, what actually they are. So let's talk about Riga, just to see Riga as an example of a big city. Riga is the biggest city in Baltics. It's 700,000 population, so it's bigger than Vilnius, Tallinn, Kaunas. So and you will see that even in Riga, Vilnius actually is the city where population grows every year, and Riga has the diminishing population. So you'll see that there is 147,000 that are older than 63, and we see that definitely the quantity of those who are aged is not diminishing so dramatically like of those who are in the middle of age. And we can see also quite good for us tendency that in spite of the fact of COVID, of diminishing of budget spending in general, so the budget of Riga is approximately 1 billion euros. But the spending for social care increases every year. So, for instance, since 2019 to 2020, budget has been diminished, but the social care spending has been increased. And you will see that in 2018, the social care spending was increased even double digit, 12%, and since then it's approximately 5% per year. And the main idea of, for instance, of our team and of our supporters, I would say, not of supporters of senior group, but supporters of the idea of changing of social care landscape, for instance, of Riga, is to bring the level of social care spending to the brim of 10% of the budget. So we think that the domain would be quite normally developed when the spending would be approximately 1/10 of budget of city. So it should be approximately 100 million in a couple of years. That's we really hope. You will see that there are definitely two main allocation types. So it's either home care and home care. I would just show you, imagine that 1 hour of home care is paid or is bought by Riga City Hall for 4.44 euros. So it's extremely low. it's very, very small sum. Everybody understands it. So if the contribution margin of all the home care is 0 something, and even if they are trying to increase it every year, it's still lower than everywhere else in Latvia, and it's exactly corresponds to the minimum wage plus all the social taxes. In spite of this fact, there are a lot of companies who participate in these regular tenders, Appeldorfer, and how it can be, we can discuss it. It's out of scope of our research, but I want to say simply that home care is quite a serious problem now, and mainly it's caused by deputies of Riga City Hall who understand that it's not possible, but they are not even able to just to vote and to say that they're able to pay reasonable for something. Even small cities close to Riga, they pay 7 euros per hour, and Riga pays 4.44. It's strange, but that's the reality. And beds. So Riga has, like city of Riga, approximately 800 beds in 3 residences that belong to Riga. And you see that since the start of COVID, the quantity of beds has been diminished. And also they buy approximately 1,100 beds from other types of institutions, either private or non-private. So we see that approximately 2,000 Riga citizens, they are now paid in any form by Riga City Hall, either to stay in municipal institutions or in private and also municipal, but they don't belong to Riga City Hall. We see that its exact figure is 1,800, and the average spending up to now is almost 600 euros, and that's average part. We'll see now that they have a system that pays for one type of beds 400 euros, for another type of bed 600 euros. So it differs, and it has been considered to stimulate the investment into new type of retirement facility. So who pays currently, for instance, 1,100 euros? That is our average check. So our average revenue per one resident per one institution is 1,100 euros, and family pays 150. Pension, average pension of our resident is 300, and 440 is paid by Riga municipality. So that's a structure of our check. How we persuaded Riga municipality to increase this voucher payment for our new type of facility. It was long road, but mainly we explained them that for them to stimulate the investment into habitat inclusive for family, big family house care, it's profitable. It's evident, because otherwise they had to invest themselves, and they are not able to do it so effective as we know how to do now. So anyway, as I told you, waiting list in Riga till 2016 was quite small and was manageable, but since that increase that we've identified by considering age pyramid has started to increase. For today, it's quite high, but it's because of COVID. So 2020 data is not very reliable, unfortunately. So as I told you, currently Riga municipality pays in form of voucher. They fixed sum for aged person, and aged person chooses the residence himself, and it's better definitely compared to traditional system when Riga City Hall chooses the residence and then it sends somewhere possible resident. Currently, there are two systems that exist: voucher system and traditional system, and we hope that all the system will go to the direction of voucher system. So now we'll say a couple of words about our model. So basic unit of senior group strategy that we develop, it's senior quartier, as we call it. We are not the first, for sure. There is Greenhouse project in the United States. There is AGV in France. There is Butterfly project in also in the United States. It's so-called Habitat Inclusive for family style models. We will, everybody can watch this movie that's about our facility. We just skip it just to give you the idea. So this is about our first facility. It's, as we call it, Quartier Senior Habité. It's very close to Riga, 15 kilometers, several 12 units like this. Let's watch a short excursion just to understand how it works. So it looks like a traditional house for 6 persons each. They eat and live together. They have a sort of small kitchenette. This small kitchenette, they can prepare their food on place. They are supposed to have quite rich social life. They have rooms either for 1 or for 2, and you can see that all the doors are quite wide to be able to move medicalized beds. They're everywhere. Definitely toilets, they're equipped, they're adapted. And what's the most important also, that our ADA, they almost live together with residents. So the shifts are quite long, 5 days. And it helped us a lot during COVID times, because the main source of all the contaminations, they're everyday visiting ADAs. And in our case, it's not like this. So if we talk about the main services that are supplied by this model, they're quite traditional for institution, for any institution. So we supply social care, as we call it, board, staying and food, security, everyday living, ADL, and additional services like medical health care and so on. So simply they are structured in a way that a lot of operations, they are performed by this ADA, who is responsible for quite small group of people of 6, maximum 7, but we want not for more than 4 residents, that assures this family style. Our timeline was quite short. So the history of senior group in Baltics was quite fast. First time we started, where is it? Okay, right. We started here the project that it now belongs to ORPR. It's called Dintro Melodio Senior Baltic. And then when we sold our shares, I had personally a non-compete agreement that has been expired in this on 1st January of 2018, and on the 15th January we opened already our first big family house. And now we have, as I told you already, 12 of these units that are grouped in 2 locations. So what's important to see also, that this model has become possible because of the high level of domotique, so of different technology. I will show you a couple of examples of these technological breakthrough. So first of all, it's modular constructed. So modular construction, and we use different technologies to construct it. Wow, what happens? Sorry. I've jumped for the next slide, and I want to show you this, first of all, way of modular construction of it. So we use either the prefabricated concrete walls or prefabricated wooden walls or prefabricated ossature, so it's a sort of skeleton. But anyway, time life of construction of one house has never exceeded 6 months. So we're able to construct our modules extremely fast. And now we have just started the construction in another country, in Lithuania. And I hope that we'll be able to do it really fast in Lithuania also. So we use several types of detectors that helps to our aiders to control their staying, for instance, in beds in the night of aiders from its or her cockpit. You know that this is famous detector of staying in bed. When you stand up, it sends the information for our aider. Also, we have the detector of falls, so that does not need, for instance, so it's somewhere in the room, and if you lay down on the floor anywhere out of your bed, it will send also, it sends their information to aider. Like this, I just show it. It's actually our demonstration room and how it works. So it works like and now it will send the information for the application. Also, that's really important that everywhere in our units, we have reinforced ceilings, and it helps us to install these type of supports everywhere. And it helps us to get the feeling of aiders that environment is not stigmatizing. So you will see that there are no all the time installed these curved bars, but they can be installed when, for instance, aged person has just been discharged from hospital and needs for several weeks or months additional support, and our aider, she can install this support everywhere, because you see that the ceilings, as I told you, are reinforced, and it helps afterwards, and I will just test it, that it's quite rigid, that it can support even me. You will see I'm quite heavy, but it works. And then each person is taught how to use this small escalier to stand up. But what's also, we use some domotique, like for instance Google Home. Google Home, that's quite good. So Ada, she asked Google Home to start Turkish March, and it helped, and it starts a sort of party, and everybody dances everywhere. Definitely, it's just for cinema, but they use Google Home, for instance, for switching on and switching off lights. Unfortunately, not yet in Latvia, and that's why it's not widely used. But the core of our management system is our application that has been developed especially for this type of facility, and it helps not to have quite expensive director on place, because one director can manage up to 150 beds, visiting every residence not oftener than once per week, because you see that all their living plan is taught in application. And the most important that, and you remember that I've shown you the scheme, and all the operations, they are numbered, and it's they also are colored. There are 6 main colors, and every aide is trained and how to close the task. But the most important, that she closes the tasks, not simply that if the task was performed or not, but for instance, it was to take shower. The idea is that she closes the task, or you see that make the toilet. And by one of the 4 levels, if the resident was able to go to shower himself, or he was helped, or he was completely accompanied. And it helps us not only to control the quality, but to measure the level of dependency of every resident ad hoc. So we reassess the value of dependency not once per trimester or once per week, but actually every day. And it helps us to adapt living plan, not once more one per trimester, but living plan is adapted every week. And it was quite serious investment and development of this application. And now it helps us to make living plans exactly up to date. And it's very, very important. Also, what I want to say that this facility happens to be quite successful in terms of withstanding to COVID, because as I told you that originally the business scheme considers that all the aiders they spend at least 5 days, and they are not from Riga, they come from other parts of Latvia. They stay, they work definitely 40 hours per week, and then they have a sort of restaurant. So they like sailors that they live in their apartment and they are called for work. And before start their their shift, all of them, they are tested and they're allowed to join their residence only after receiving the negative results. And the system of this facility assures the fact that nobody will, for instance, they come, now we already have the fourth, this sixth house here, and but they spend one night in specialized rented wagons, but in the beginning it was simply one unit, and they spent a night here before being completely tested, and only afterwards they went for their other parts of Cartier to work. Okay, so that was a small video excursion. Now let's be fast. As I just told you, we have innovative business processes that living plans adapted automatically, detectors of faults, and our main objective is to become the second senior care provider in Baltics, after municipalities for sure, as you've seen. So this is, for instance, our standard Cartier, as we call it, and we have several different types. So we have standard model, we have central facility with medical block, and we have Alzheimer facility. They are slightly different. All of them, they are prefabricated. And what's the most important, that investment are needed only upon the feeling of just constructed houses. So first of all, we constructed the first one. When we filled it, we constructed the second one. Then we constructed the next two. Then we constructed the next two. So you see that investment inflow is extremely harmonized with a real occupancy. And it really assures us and assures our, for instance, banks that they are not demanded to finance all the 80 beds immediately. They finance only after we're sure that we reach the KPIs. So this is KPI, senior Cartier, affordable, easy to duplicate, and it gives IRR approximately of 30%. So basic model, as I just told you, it's all the time one floor. When we're talking about rural models, for sure, AIDA lives with residents, and this picture of this Cartier. Now, as I told you, there is another already building. Why it's competitive, quite competitive family approach, modular constructed, innovative business process, comfortable, efficient. What does it mean, family style approach? 4-6 residents for one unit, not more. Long shifts of every AIDA, as we call them, daughters, 3-5 days. And definitely seniors, they prefer these type of facilities. As I've just shown, these are groups of what is included into basic package and what is additional. So in basic package is social stimulation, housing and food security, and activities of daily living. And then it's conciergerie or instrumental ideal and health promotion. These couple of words about application senior coding, how it works. Every day daughter receives list of operations. Operations are closed in one of the 3 levels, independent, supervised, assisted. Based on this assessment, system adapts the living plan and reports and predictions. So we have the dependency reports of every residence, every unit, and it helps us to predict hospitalization, for instance. Also, we have already urban model that's simply, for instance, two houses like this, put one on the top of another. These are plans, modular construction that I've just shown, that we prefabricate walls, and we prefabricate, we are not yet prefabricated sanitary units, but we will be able to do it quite soon. We use different detectors. Okay, sorry, it's the part of French presentation, a detector of faults and everything else. It was plan of securitizing against COVID. We show that definitely COVID rates are not so have not so dramatically influenced our type of real estate, like hotels, for instance. This as historical context was already described by myself. Let's talk a couple of words about business model. So when we talk about revenue of one square unit of 300 square meters of 12 beds, we can say that it brings approximately, as we have 1,000 euros revenue per month with occupancy, it gives you approximately 50,000 of contribution margin per year. That's how it's split. So one bed, 1,000 euros is split 300 for human resource, for food 150, for support of real estate 50 euros per month per bed, and then marketing, administrative, on place administrative of central bureau, and 300 euros like EBITDA. What's very important that when we, as I just told you, when we open the next house, every house is filled approximately in 1 month. So it's 14 beds is filled in 1 month. So it, and you see that these increases of quantity of beds, these are 2 houses were open. Here is 1 house, 1 house, 1 house. So you will see that occupancy reaches 95% level approximately in 2-3 months in COVID times, and in 1 month in normal time. So we are trying to keep the investment price of 1 unit for 14 beds on the level of 350,000 euros, and up to now we succeeded. It gives us the magic figure of 25,000 euros investment price for 1 bed. So if you recalculate what I've just shown, you will get a return on assets on the level approximately from 11 to 15%. And definitely if you are able to finance it with leverage approximately 70%, it will give you quite high IRRs on the level of higher than 30 or even 50%. So what our strategic expansion plans? Up to now, this is what we construct. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 sites that already operate, and other sites are under construction. I mean that under construction, that the 3rd site, for instance, here will be opened in 2 weeks. It's already almost ready. For other sites, construction permission are received. In Panevėžys in Lithuania, the construction works has been started 2 weeks ago, and today they will fill already with concrete the foundation, and we hope to open it before Christmas. So our strategic, and here is our urban residence. This one is already open. This one is also under construction. Here is what we are, the last house, and this central house of the quartier, and it will have, it has already a sort of medical block. So as we call it, it's senior group plus, senior group Red Cross, and it will help to assure the high level of, first of all, neurological support for our residents, for Alzheimer's disease persons. Our strategic objective is to get 10% of increase of market, so 6,000 beds in 2030. Some charts, not very interesting. I mean that interesting, but not in the scope of this presentation. So the main idea is very simple, that till 2024, okay, it's old presentation, now it's till 2026. we should have 2,000 beds that should be operational and 4,000 beds, as we call them, pipeline beds. So as you remember that every our facility is a sort of quartier. So on every quartier, we should have 2 houses for 20 beds and construction permission for another 40 beds. And it will assure us that it would be already the development that would be very easily to be performed, because it's really easy to feel the house that it's constructed close to functioning house. That's the reality. Okay, so and the last very short section, that Baltics is quite nice niche, and for us it's the new model incubator for other parts of the Europe. So currently this model has been tested in Baltics, and we are going to implement it after Baltics in Poland, in France, where we're traditionally from, and just to show the quantity of LTC beds in Poland, it's quite still low. And if we take this official data, we will see that in 2014 there were 36,000 beds. Current demand is 41,000 beds, until 2030 it's 18,000 beds demand, and as I told you, we are going to conquer 1/3 of this additional demand, that is 6,000 beds. Okay, so that's all for now. I have some annexes, what sets us apart, blah, 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 but it's not very interesting. If somebody has any questions, I think that you can either type them or just switch on your micro and put it on. If not, in 2 minutes, our webinar is officially closed. I'm extremely grateful for everybody. I will simply answer to one question that was put by Olga. Good morning, all. Just one question. Is any government institution is open to support your activities? If not, do you plan to attract them? I would say that the best about government institution is that they're not extremely against, and compared, for instance, to Russia, that's very good. We have quite good relations with City Hall of Riga, with City Hall of other small cities like of Panevėžys, for instance. We hope to establish relations with other municipalities. They're quite strange situation currently in Lithuania, because Lithuania has decided to impose TVA for social care services provided by private institutions. That is quite strange. I hope that they will cancel this decision, but it's national level. So they really work against investments. I don't know why it happened, but everywhere I would say that we are mainly supported than having some problems. Okay, I don't see any other questions. Once more, if somebody wants to ask, I can stop my sharing screen and thank you once more for joining us this morning. I promise that I will share the results of our research. And if there are any more questions, thank you once more, and have a good August, have a good vacation. Thank you, peers. I hope that you start to understand the situation in senior care of Baltics better than you felt yourself before our this morning meeting. Thank you, everybody. We are just in time, 10 a.m. Bye, everybody. Thank you.